details of a lost, unreleased Nintendo VR console that doesn't exist
You
anymore.
don't need to tell me about the Virtual Boy, alright?
It's not. Oh no, the Virtual Boy released.
Unfortunately,
it shouldn't have.
That wasn't really VR so much as like really early 3D.
It kind of looks. It looks kind of like how VR looks nowadays. Like
it does totally does.
Your face.
Except you have it's on a stand, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like it doesn't attach to your face. You have to attach your face to it.
Yeah.
So it's a little backwards.
Yeah, they were working out the kinks back then.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, but actually the funny is because the Virtual Boy does come into play here for this thing.
Yes.
So it was that era. So don't worry, we're not missing out here. There was a video on Did You Know Gaming that talks about it as well, but you should watch that after the podcast, guys. But here's an article from VR Focus is the website. They just really like VR, I guess.
Wow.
I would say they're focused on it.
They're very focused on VR. I would say like it's one of their priorities.
Yeah.
Like probably one of their top
VR
priorities.
and then Cinnabons.
Oh yeah.
That's their order. VR and then Cinnabon.
Delicious. So they write, for those who have an interest in the earlier days of virtual reality, VR, there are a few missteps more memorable than the Virtual Boy, the failed Nintendo VR console released in 1995. However, it seems that Nintendo did have an opportunity to avert that disaster, as British developer Jeremy Jez Sands reveals. Although, I don't know if avert, like, I don't know if they would have, as a side note, avoid the disaster of the Virtual Boys so much as it just may have been a different disaster. But we'll go moving on. Jeremy, also known as Jez or Jason, he's a really cool guy with cool nicknames. He was the founder of Argonaut, the developer that created the pioneering Super FX chip that brought 3D to the Super Nintendo, along with Star Fox, one of the first titles to make use of the technology. The company was also involved with the created prototype for a different VR console. J-Man, Jeremy Jarrer, explained to the Metro that he was involved with creating a VR video game system referred to as the supervisor. No, not your boss. You wear it.
You used to be a supervisor, Daniel.
I did use to be
They were making you. They were making a clone of you.
Wow. I was not a supervisor in 1995, though. I was a toddler, but
I wasn't born yet.
I was an infant.
Oh boy!
Or about to exit the room, one or the other. Well, actually, I would be an infant either way. But anyway.
Though San was unable to produce any prototypes or any pictures or any actual evidence of the supervisor in action, he had some impressive claims about his capabilities, saying that his VR system was far more powerful and capable than the Virtual Boy, as it was capable of not only full color graphics, but also
the NES had full color graphics too.
But it was
head tracking, which would have been deeply impressive with the technology at the time. Actually, head tracking didn't exist on a Nintendo until the new 3DS. I believe the original 3DS did not have head tracking as well.
What about the Power Glove? Had motion tracking.
Hand tracking.
That was hand tracking. Well, and barely, honestly, barely.
But if you put it on your head.
There you go. NES had head tracking. Kinda. So, by contrast, the Virtual Boy was heavily criticized on its release in 1995 for its unpleasant, red-on-black graphics, poor ergonomics of the device, and its sheer expense. Nintendo only produced 22 titles for the system before quietly withdrawing it from sale.
It would have done better if they would have. They were working on Mario Kart, but they never released it. And if they would have, it would have totally been great because every Mario Kart game is good.
I don't know.
Except for Mario Kart Wii, I hate it. So anyways,
I love that one.
Unpopular opinion, I hate it.
Says the guy who doesn't even have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on his Switch.
Oh.
And has never played Mario Kart 7.
I just don't want to buy it again.
See, I bet you don't even know what this is.
It's a purple shell, aka not the right color.
Ooh. Them's fighting words.
Anyways, he says, we had full color and head tracking at a time when no one else did, but the supervisor was canceled in favor of a system with no head tracking and red graphics, San said. It was like the Vive headset that's on sale today, but made 20 years earlier. Of course, it wasn't quite as good because the Vive has better screens now, but ours was made a long time ago. We almost finished the supervisor and it was canceled to do the Virtual Boy, which was a shame. VR gaming could have happened 20 years ago if they had kept us on.
Okay, here's the thing. So
I don't know.
The Super Nintendo was 16-bit. The Nintendo 64, obviously, 64-bit. The VR system, Virtual Boy, was 32-bit. Like almost the same as like a Game Boy Advance or like Sega, whatever. Or the PlayStation. The first PlayStation was 32-bit. So this thing, if it was more powerful than the Virtual Boy, then it also would have had to have been like 64-bit. At least
had those two things that the Virtual Boy didn't.
Yeah, so like it would have been like a Nintendo 64 on your face. And this was 1995. Like a year before this Nintendo 64 released.
That's true.
So if theirs were like if their Virtual Boy or virtual reality console was canceled so they could start working on the Virtual Boy, then
that's what he says, at least.
Yeah. But again, he has no pictures or proof or anything else. So maybe this was just an idea that they had in a boardroom meeting.
And then Nintendo's like,
really wants to brag about it.
Like, it could have been that they pitched it, and Nintendo's like, well, we were kind of doing this thing already, and we owe Gunpei because he invented the freaking Game Boy.
Like the Yoshi game.
So,
they made the... No, was it them? The company, they made the 3D Yoshi game. It would have been like the very first... Yeah, it was going to be the very first 3D game ever, or 3D platformer. But it was Yoshi, and Nintendo was like, well, we're doing a thing with Mario. It's cool that you made Yoshi, but we don't want it. So then they turned it into Croc, the dinosaur.
Jax?
Croc? No, Croc.
Croc?
Croc.
Crocs? Don't wear Crocs.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, hi guys. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just feel like this would have been bad, and he's really nostalgic about it, but it probably would have been really bad.
So there's another thing I want to say. I don't know if it's him, but it was someone else at Argonauts. It was one of the people, like one of the main people at Argonaut that worked on Star Fox. Said
was it
that
Dylan Cuthbert?
Yeah, said that I don't know. Said that Super Mario FX was never actually a thing. It was just a code name for the chip, but it was a code name for the chip. But it was also a thing because in the video we literally have the interview where Miyamoto is talking about how he worked on it before Super Mario 64, and then there's people, it's like, well, blah 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 said, and I'm like, if anyone knew they were working on a 3D Mario game before Super Mario 64, I'm pretty sure it would have been the guy who worked on it, not someone who worked at a third party that just kind of sort of had a partnership with Nintendo and made one game.
And keep in mind also, like, there probably would have been NDA stuff, so he may not have known about it, what they were working on. And also, this is interviews from, like, the last few years, and they're asking this guy who doesn't work at Nintendo about an unreleased Nintendo game 20 years ago. So if his answer is, like, kind of unsure, and he's like, yeah, no, I don't think this was a real thing, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt as well, because even like the time span that has passed since then as well is like versus an interview from then where Miyamoto's like, yeah, I've been working on this thing.
Yeah, because you literally have the interview or interviews where Miyamoto's like, yeah, before Super Mario 64 we experimented with the 3D Mario game, but it didn't really go anywhere. And then the Nintendo were like, they were going to do it, but they were also working on the Nintendo 64, and they were like, we just moved it over to the Nintendo 64, and it's like, okay, well, like he literally says that you can't go by someone's tweet like 20 years later when like this interview from the time he talks. Anyways, I don't know, it's stupid. I dislike people that think they know everything without researching. Because we put hours and days and weeks into research.
And by we, just really Jesse does.
When the most
he does
excited
all the work.
the most excited I got from doing research was when I found that that shut down website from Nintendo from like 20 years ago. And then I was like, we gotta get Tony. He's the only one that'll know.
That was a gold mine.
Yeah, it was Nintendo talking about Zelda 64 when it was supposed to release in like 1996 or 7 before it actually released in 1998.
Wow.
Yeah, back when it started as Adult Link instead of Child Link.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyways, Bob, what's our next thing? The Wii prototype.
What is our next thing? Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Maya,
I love
do you,
this.
Do you want to take it, Maya?
Take what?
The Wii
When?
prototype for the GameCube.
It's like all in Japanese.
What? Daniel, do
You
you
can't
want
read
Do you
that?
want, do you want to take it, Daniel?
Essentially what it is, guys, here's the gist, okay? What was recently unearthed on Twitter was an old prototype from the Wii's development days. And it's like suddenly popped up on an auction thing. So the GameCube that it's tied to as well, there's a video about this on Tony's channel. Speaking of Tony, I'm gonna take, it's hard to talk with that on actually.
Where did Bob go?
He's making burgers. There's this teal blue GameCube that is paired with this is like a development GameCube unit as well. There's a great video where Tony actually has one of those GameCubes in that color. So that's not a retail GameCube.
That's why. That's why we called Tony when we
It's
found
such a
that
cool
website.
color. I like
It really is.
I
wish they
love
had
it. I
released
wish
that
they
color.
right. I love it. I want that. I love that color. And then basically it's an early prototype Wii remote that has a GameCube controller port. So it's not wireless. Like it plugs into the GameCube. It's got this like huge long coiled up cord. And a really much bulkier than the final release for the sensor bar. Nunchuck looks pretty well the same, except the cable's different. It has an Ethernet port cable. So probably they just were taking like what they could find to make it work.
Yeah.
It seems like a very old, like the buttons are different on it a little bit. The 1 and 2 button are actually a lowercase A and B. So you've got uppercase A and B and then lowercase A and B. So I'm really glad that they changed that for the final release. Because if someone's like press A, you're like, okay, which one? So yeah, that's and then it's like captioned
It looks
Nintendo
like the
Revolution.
normal NES controller colors, where
Yeah.
it's like gray and black.
minus the
red button.
minus the
Yeah.
red buttons.
Yeah.
But
You just have what? What? Okay. In that
I
case,
just have things around. Good, very good. Otherwise, like, there's no power button, but I guess the GameCube's controller didn't have that either. So
Yeah.
there's no power button, and then
there's no power
it does
button.
have the home button though. That's the thing. But it seems like it was just a very like early test development unit, and the auction does have it labeled as Revolution, which was the Wii's like code name when it was working when it was in
Oh.
development. So it was like the GameCube was the Dolphin, the Wii was the Revolution because they were revolutionizing gaming, etc. NX as we know. I think the Wii was Cafe. This is weird.
Yeah, Project
Coffee shop,
Cafe.
but- Project
I remember
Cafe.
it
Yeah.
leaked like
I
2
thought
days.
a cafe from Major.
Oh no.
No, I did too when it first released, but I remember it was like 2 days before E3 or like whenever they announced it, and someone posted online, it's like, hey, Nintendo's doing like, they published a thing, what's it called when you try to get the patents? Yeah, they patented a thing with like a controller that had a screen on it for a console, and the console looked exactly like the Wii U, and it was only 2 days before they officially announced it, and I was like, there's no way they're doing something this stupid. And then they did it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, geez.
Oh, yes,
I guess they
apparently
did something
they are.
that stupid.
Just kidding.
Oops. But yeah, so it looks really cool. Like, definitely not useful. But I mean,
So
it looks
rude.
like a really cool collector's piece. I have a feeling it's going to end up in Tony's hands at one point,
Probably.
just at some point soon.
Someone flew him, it was Metal Jesus Rocks.
Metal Jesus Rocks.
Yeah, flew Tony out and like paid for his hotel and everything.
Oh, for the
that he
Nintendo
could
64 DD.
Yeah, so that he could
right?
test a
Wow.
development disc.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64, because he was like, hey, I got this thing, I have no idea what to do with it, so this thing that I bought for like a few $100s, I'm going to spend a few $1,000s to fly you out so you can check this thing that
passion.
was only a
Holy
few
hell.
hundred. Yeah.
That's
Because
crazy.
Tony had the hardware for it.
Dang.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is like on his channel, like people will like just, like FedEx stuff to him
Yeah.
so that he can like take a look at it, see if it's authentic and,
And
real
one day,
and everything.
he's
and then
going to
he'll
get one
send
with
it back.
Ura Zelda.
One day.
You think so?
He got the Super Mario 64 disc drive version.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
There's
There
not
was-
much you can do with it, but he got it.
There was only like one
Yeah.
copy that was ever made, and they used it at like Space World just to show off what the 64 disc drive was, and somehow Tony has a copy. And it's like, how did you
That's crazy.
how did you do that? Like whenever you start it up, instead of having Mario's face where you can like poke at him, it just says Super Mario 64 disc version. And then it has different songs. Or not different
But-
songs, but
He's very diligent because there was one person that sent him like a beta Wind Waker, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
totally figured it out that it was fake.
yeah, it was just like
Oh,
a
really?
ROM hack.
Yeah, it was
He's
a fake.
legit with his work.
He's very
awesome.
thorough. He's a,
Tony, if you're watching.
Tony, we love you. So,
And he talked so sweet about
no.
Ilya.
he's got a
I
He was
really-
know.
like, she has the sweetest voice.
He was
She-
like,
It's because he
"Oh,
longs
she's
to be
like-
young
it's
again.
just-" He was like saying stuff about like he was like, it's just such an underrated channel. It's in the growing stages and it really needs to grow. And I'm just like,
You need to go on and have
and
a
then
beer
like
with
within
him.
10 minutes, I had subscribers and I was like,
Ilya, you need to go on the podcast and have a beer with him.
Oh, jeez. Tony needs to go check out my channel, apparently.
I stream on Twitch.
All right. Daniel, Daniel, tell us about this.
I mean, it's really cool. Okay, so the article is really just screenshots of the tweets that are in Japanese. I cannot read them. But
Wait, you can't read those?
But what I am gonna do is post a link in the live
It says,
chat here.
this
to
is
the
what I
Go
wanted to
Nintendo.
do. I got the remote control and nunchuck for Revolution because I use the terminal of the GameCube controller. I attach it to the GameCube, but I can't use it.
How? What? How do you know that's what it says?
Because he
it's
reads
written.
in Japanese.
It's written there.
"Ooh."
And not in English.
You mean you can't speak Japanese, Daniel? You're from Canada. You should know how to...
I know how to speak Canadian.
No, like if you go to the tweet, you
for
can
sure.
click
We're gonna go
translate
down
tweet.
to the Tims and have a brewski with the Pint Bros, and then we're gonna go and live back on the Chesterfield. And what do you know? They're gonna have some poutine for lunch, eh? Yeah,
poutine.
okay, Hausers.
And then
No.
you just apologize.
There was
like,
just every
every
Canadian
second.
stereotype.
The
I could-
second
Yeah.
one says, I tried to check it because I was anxious. The display of the text did not change when it was an initial type and a late type. The third one, the final picture says, connected the Revolution sensor bar to the GameCube memory card slot. Maybe this is just like getting the power from the slot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's because they didn't have a port on the GameCube to actually plug the sensor bar into, so they probably just made it work
Yeah.
with however they could at
This-
the time, right?
This development console is probably what they used to, like, because Twilight Princess, you know, like this is probably what they used to
Oh,
program
yeah.
all of the motion controls for it.
Probably, actually. I
Yeah.
mean, like, because essentially, like, it's just
A Wii's like a supercharged, like an overclocked
Mhm.
GameCube. It's just, it's
It's
literally
really
a GameCube at like a higher clock speed.
Yeah, it's not very superior. It has widescreen.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like
That's why I got Twilight Princess on the Wii, the GameCube.
yeah, I
But-
think it's like 2 to 3 times more powerful than the GameCube, and that's it. Which isn't nothing. It's enough to make things widescreen that weren't widescreen before.
Yeah.
Daniel, what were you saying? You had what? I interrupted you. I'm sorry. It's
What?
Ilya's
What
fault.
did
Are you okay, Ilya?
What was I saying?
Be right back. I drank a ton of water, so I'll be right.
Are you okay?
Break.
RPG in the chat just asked, did Maya beat up that girl?
Maya did beat
You're
up that
dang
girl.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is really
RPG.
cool, right?
It is so cool.
Like I can't wait until Tony breaks it apart and like spills beer all over it. No, he
does
doesn't.
not
He doesn't
spill
do that. He
his
just
beer. He drinks responsibly.
He does. Everyone comments on his things like, "Why are you drinking beer?" And he's like, "Because I'm an adult." Like, I
The
drink
guy
one
can't
beer.
have one drink
Yeah,
over the course of like 3 hours that he's filming.
yeah. He
Yeah,
spends
I-
like 3 to 6 hours filming a video, and he just has like the one, maybe 2 beer the entire time. And people are like, "You drank that really fast." And it's like, "Yeah, you watch like a 2-minute video." It's like I was
It's
drinking
called-
it first.
It's called editing.
I felt bad because like I never really drink unless it's like special occasions, but I wanted, like, if I could go back, I would have had a beer when I was on the podcast. That way I would have fit in
Oh yeah.
when I was on his podcast.
If I
a
ever
few
end
weeks
up
ago.
on Tony's
But
podcast,
he wants you
I
guys
will.
on there, right?
Yeah, I didn't know until it was already going.
No, but
Jesse's like,
he
I'm
said,
going on the Hard for Games podcast, and then like halfway through it, he messages me. He's like, Tony wants you on the podcast. I'm like, I am doing other things right now.
No, he
That
said it
sounds about
after
right.
after the podcast. He was like, "Yeah, it'd be really cool if we could get Ilya or Daniel or anyone else on." And it's like, if you know anyone, please let us know, because they don't really know that many people.
I'm so flattered that he would request me, because I'm like sitting here and I'm like the fan of his channel. So like,
Why is HMK
I'm like,
mad?
why is HMK mad?
I don't
He's
know.
always
HMK
mad.
mad.
He has 2 states, mad and hyped. There's no middle ground.
Yeah,
That-
that's what
100% accurate.
it's hyped, mad, and killer. So he has those 3 stages.
Damn.
He's never
I'm
gotten.
pretty sure that the third one is just like the next step from the second one.
He's never actually killed anyone that we know of.
He's gonna see the Netflix Zelda animated series, and then he's
Maybe
gonna
that's
turn
why he's
into
mad.
the killer.
He's gonna go from
Maybe,
hyped, and then he's
maybe.
gonna see it. He's gonna be mad. Then he's
Maybe.
oh
Yeah.
no.
Man, oh man.
We seen HMK, but he was like in line, and I didn't want to wait in line.
He was
so,
too busy.
yeah.
We were just rushing to get to the
But
Nintendo section.
there was a bunch of cool people like Cliff, or what's his YouTube? Nintendo.
The Game Informer,
the Game Informer is his thing.
or
so,
on,
like-
on Switch, TG Informer.
Yeah, he came up to us and like sat down with us in the middle of nowhere and started eating with us.
He's a cool dude.
We were just sitting on
So
the floor
cool
eating.
that we brought him back to our Airbnb and he schooled me at Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, he came back, or he found us
He
while
said-
we were just
He
like
said,
sitting
I played
there.
too much- I played too much Mario Kart. I'm sorry. And, I said,
And he went out
"Cliff,
to
I love you. It's
he went
okay."
out to dinner with us when we
did.
went to Korean barbecue with Hylian and Cece.
Yeah. No, it was a cool time.
I wasn't
What?
there.
Now, are you coming next year?
I would love to. I would.
I'm already getting E3 emails.
Really?
Yeah,
they're like, don't forget, you're coming back. You're coming back next year. E3, you can't buy your tickets yet, but don't forget about it.
no.
I'm
So
like,
I'm gonna
"Thanks."
try to like do everything as soon as possible this year, because last time I waited until like a month before, and the ticket price in my head I was like, oh, it's only gonna be this much, and then it was literally twice as much when I went to buy it, and I was like, no.
Oh, for your like airline
yeah.
tickets.
I made it home.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking
With-
about E3?
Yeah, I made it home. I went from LA on an airplane back to my house with $6 in my pocket. Yeah.
Sounds like my entire
RPG
junior year of college.
Yeah, RPG in the chat says that Conrad from Commonwealth Realm is really cool, and we met him while we were there.
Yeah, they invited us to
and he
their
is really
Airbnb.
cool.
I'm so
And we were talking about Metroid, and he yelled at Joey Ferris across the room. He said, "This guy right here, I like him." I'm like, yes. Whew, I won Conrad's approval. Talking about Metroid. Conrad, he yelled at Joey. We were talking about Samus's shoulders. I know, it's a really weird thing. But
What?
Is it because they're
I
massive?
don't know Metroid.
Yes.
So I guess I
Yeah.
should.
We're talking about, okay, basically Samus's suit design. I mentioned to Conrad.
Giant.
Yeah, I mentioned to Conrad that I felt for Smash Ultimate they should have been updated to, instead of the Metroid Other M design, to the Metroid Samus Returns design. And apparently that made Conrad and Joey start yelling at each other. They do that a lot apparently, but but apparently Conrad and I were on the same page about that, and so I basically won his approval. through just that one sentence that I said.
for
I have something to show, and then we can move on to the next thing.
It's a great moment for me.
Tubes is in there
What?
too. So that's us when they invited us to their Airbnb. If it'll,
Oh yeah, I've seen that picture.
That was
Aw,
a great time.
it won't.
it's blurry.
I'm so short. That's a hand.
Okay.
You're
There you go.
Oh,
short.
no,
Daniel,
it's not blurry.
Daniel, how tall are you?
5'10".
4'2", no 4'2", 5'2",
5'1".
5'2" and a half.
Oh no.
Ilya, I feel you. I feel you.
Their
Oh.
apartment looked like the perfect
Cece,
bachelor
like, under
place.
5 feet?
Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
4'10".
She's a very small person.
She's like an entire foot shorter than Daniel.
So, if we were ever able to go to E3,
You would be the tall
my
one.
Cece and I just need to stay together and be like, hi.
Hello.
Yeah. So that
I mean,
picture.
You need to assign
If you're
a
all
short
together-
person to every tall person, because like whenever I get lost in crowds, I always grab the tallest person in my group by their shirt and just follow them.
Oh
Because I
jeez.
get lost.
We'll
So-
call Rick back.
I'll wear my
come-
scarf,
Rick, my
and then you can
friendhood.
hold on to my scarf.
There you
No,
go.
don't wear anything hot while you're there. Like just
It's California. Why would you wear something hot?
Like,
no. I
had
mean
to
like
buy shorts specifically for that trip.
like
I'm from Florida. I don't have to worry about that.
Okay, well, I'm Canadian, so
Arizona.
I actually feel better there because there's
It's
no
cold.
humidity.
think about this.
he's so cold.
You're literally you're literally standing in line with 1,000 other people.
Mm-hmm. It's hot.
Like
Sounds
it took like
Disney World except no humidity.
well, there's no
Inside.
there's no air either. Like we took us like 2 hours to play Smash Brothers, and then like it was a 3-hour wait to get into the line to play Pokemon.
And the line would have been like
See,
3
you're
hours.
not making E3 sound appealing to me.
No,
at
it
all.
is.
But it's all of that with friends.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Waiting in line.
I would rather just
no. So
hang out with you guys.
you can bring
with a cheaper airline.
you can bring
and go
your
somewhere
Switch. You can bring your
Dang.
Switch or 3DS so that you can like play stuff while you're in line. So like next E3, we'll all be able to play like Super Mario Party with each other while we're in line to play the
We
other
can all
things.
play Smash.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
we'll
true.
get it,
Instead of-
because then everyone will know.
Instead of waiting in
How
line
bad
to
you
play
were?
Smash Brothers, what
I'm
would we be
terrible
waiting in
at
line for
Smash.
next year?
Animal Crossing.
And hopefully it comes out before E3 next year. That would be the dream.
True. It
Yeah.
should be, I wish it would. I would hope it would be summer.
I say it's the next Zelda Order game, or the Mario DLC, or Super Mario Odyssey, because that's our next news story, guys.
What do you know? Great segue.
Yay!
Okay, so
And then you actually use like a segue, like the thing that you like.
Just you
Yeah,
ride on it. You're-
so did any of you watch the video that I posted yesterday or the day before
Yes.
Yes.
about the possible
Nice.
DLC for Breath of the Wild?
Yes.
It's in my watch later.
All right, so it went from like a 1% chance to like in the video I joke around, I said it to you and Daniel in the Discord group, but like it went from a 1% chance to like a 10% chance that it might happen. Okay, so the one that I read was from Go Nintendo, but this one's going to be from IGN because I can't find the Go Nintendo one. I love Go Nintendo though. They helped me out a lot when I first started my channel.
Whoa,
Great
hold
segue.
on.
You got a super chat.
20.
Oh. Read it, Mr.
Roman.
D-Man.
Roman, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Roman. Donated $20, says Happy Spooktober.
Thank you.
Just want to
I'm
say
Harry
I love.
Monkton. Harry Lonker. Yeah, that's, I'm Harry Lonker.
I'm beat
Just
up
want to
Katniss.
say, I love
Love
the
it.
podcast. I don't have a question, by the way. Just wanted to show my appreciation.
Oh, Dankeschön.
Thank you.
Vielen Dank.
Thank you.
We love you, Roman. Platonically.
Join the Discord and we'll give you hugs.
Join the Discord, and then when
Platonic
you
hugs.
do have a question,
You can give it to us for the mailbag.
give it to us and say, "Remember that time
I paid for 50 questions.
I paid for so many questions."
Daniel raising an eyebrow with a mustache is an odd combination.
I love it.
All right.
Honestly, it's the best.
Ilya, would you like to take this
Ilya.
one? Or Maya, would you like to take this one?
Except,
one?
like, I don't know where we are.
Okay,
I
hold on.
muted it.
This one takes the place of the Bethesda one. Or, I don't know, like the other, I don't know. This is just, it's really important, I feel.
Oh yeah.
So what you do, Maya, is you're just like, hello everyone, I'm Maya. On this thing, we're going to be talking about Nintendo's president wants more DLC for existing big titles. This comes from IGN. Joe Scrabbles, a made-up name, says, for those wishing the four... Yeah, and then you go. Joe Scrabbles is a made-up name, by the way. It's it's a fake name they use whenever they have
Talking about
weird
that.
Would you
stories.
like-
My cousin?
Your cousin's fake?
What?
You call my cousin fake?
I don't want to... What are you talking about?
Wow.
Southern Alien came out to play.
How dare you?
Southern
could you?
Alien.
He always calls me out whenever my southern comes out.
What did you do with
in the
Alien?
chat, Karl Marx for Smash. Count me in.
Karl Marx? What?
Thank you. Joseph Stalin in the chat.
Oh, Neptune.
Oh, God.
Karl Marx for Smash. I'm in.
So, would you like for me to read the whole article, or just some of the article? A little bit of the article? It's taking like 9 billion years to load for me.
Oh, really? Just the
Yeah.
first 3 paragraphs, right?
Alright, I got you. Alright, cool. So, do you want me to do your whole, like, hi there, my name is Maya, this is GameOverJesse's channel, we're gonna... we're gonna
Do it.
You don't have to say that this is Jesse, you just have to say this is Maya, this is the news, here we go.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Elia Rose. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. And you know what? If you're a fan of videos like this, you should totally subscribe and give this video a like. And comment below to let us know what type of videos you would like to see us create in the future. And if you would really like to support all of us here at the GameOverJesse channel, please consider purchasing a GameOverJesse t-shirt or becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can receive many rewards, such as getting shoutouts, having any topic or theory that you select discussed on the podcast or made into its own video, having your question answered, joining on as a guest on the podcast, and playing with us during our Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/GameOverJesse, and much, much more.